Hey y'all, what's up? Not much here, just relaxing at the moment. Thought I'd tell some funny stories of my level of being a professional klutz. Um, Growing up, my mom always had that title. When we moved up here and our house was being built, my mom had come down to check on it, and it had been raining, but it stopped, but there were mud puddles around. So she went to step over a mud puddle, and her her heel caught the edge of the mud puddle, and down she went. Turns out she broke her ankle from that. So pretty much from that point on, Mom never lived it down that she was that much of a klutz. Until I entered adulthood. The numerous scars and broken bones are, they each have their own funny story. I have right there on my wrist, you might be able to see it. I don't know. Oh no, wrong wrist. There it is. See that right on my wrist there? I was working at 7-Eleven as the deli manager, and they have the industrial size boxes of saran wrap to wrap the sandwiches in. So I went to pick it up, and it slipped out of one of my hands, and as it did that, the hand it slipped out of went right across the edge of the serrated blade. It opened my wrist all the way up, almost all the way to the bone. Needless to say, I was very lucky I didn't have nerve damage, but, of course, had to get many, many stitches in it. And then let's see, another incident that happened while I was at 7-Eleven is I was using the deli slicer to cut meat up for sandwiches and such. And guess I wasn't careful enough because I sliced my finger. If you look there, just like that, you can see it's deformed. That one also went quite deep, and of course, had to have quite a few stitches in it. I mean, it's usually one thing after another with me. My most infamous fall was when I fell and broke my back. But there's another one that I had that was, it couldn't be replicated in a million years by a million different people. I had been asleep, and during the day I had been doing my laundry. So during the night I woke up, sometime after midnight, and I took my clothes out of the dryer, put the clothes in the washer in the dryer, and then went ahead and came back in so I could go to bed. Now, at the time I was using cans of Pepsi instead of bottles. And I had a Pepsi beside the bed, so before I got in bed, I picked it up and took a drink. And as I went to put it back down on the dresser, it slipped out of my hands. So I'm trying to grab it before it makes a mess, and I take a step back so I can keep my balance, and I trip over my shoe. So I go to take another step back, and Dad's kitty's socks was right there, and I tripped over her. At that point, there was no saving me from the fall. It was inevitable. But as I was falling, I could almost see in slow motion what was going to happen. My head was aimed right for the corner of the cedar chest I have in the bedroom. And, this was in the beginning of April of 2016 this happened. So, everything that had happened with Dad was still fresh in my mind, and I knew I didn't want to have any kind of head or neck injury, so I was able to kind of redistribute my weight so I would hit the ground and not the cedar chest. But as I went onto the ground, I used my right arm and hand to break my fall. And as I did that, and the weight of my body landed on it, I heard it snap. This was in 2016, so I was down here alone. Tim was up the other house, so it took about 10-15 minutes for me to get up and actually be able to use the phone, because it hurt like a mother. So I called him and I told him I needed him to come down and take me to the emergency room. And he's like, why? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I broke my wrist. So he came and got me, and we got up to the ER, and they got me in, and, sure enough, yeah, I broke both bones in my arm right at my wrist. But I didn't just break them. The force of the fall bent them outward. So if it had been a normal break, I might not have needed surgery, just a cast, but because the bones bent outward, I had to have surgery to have metal put in there. And, from the time I broke it to the time I was done with rehab, I was a model, patient, and did everything I needed to. So by the end of June, I was done with all my therapy, and my hand and arm were pretty much back to normal. Now, because I had had problems with carpal tunnel while the doctor was fixing my wrist, he went ahead and took care of my carpal tunnel for me. So, it was much easier to go ahead and do everything at one time and let it heal than, have two separate surgeries. So that's the scar from the carpal tunnel. And that is the scar from where I broke my wrist. Like I said, my wrist is really good. The only thing I cannot do is I cannot put my fingers up like that. My index finger does not want to go straight because of the scar. I can do this. I can do that. I can do this and this, no problem. But this one just will not go straight. But if that's the only problem I have with it, I'm not really concerned. I healed very well, thankfully. And I get I still get quite a pain in my wrist when the barometer's falling and storms are coming. I feel it, but for the most part, you know, it was just one of those things that, like, you think about it and talk about it, and you're like, how the fuck did that even happen? And like I said, I don't think that could ever be replicated again. um, I've got scars galore from falls and broken bones and just one thing after another. One of the other big scars I have is down the shin of my leg. I was up at the other house with Tim, and we were getting all the trash out through the back porch to take it to the dump. And on the back porch there was like 3 steps, and there was a hand railing, but it was not sturdy by any means. And then beside that was a flower box. So I'm going out the door, and I'm standing there right at the door facing inwards, and Tim's facing towards me, handing me bags of trash so I could toss them in the back of the truck. And at one of those points, I turned, went to grab the railing, which broke off underneath me, and down I went. My leg went into the concrete. My body just fell into the flower box, and I mean, I've got one. It's a couple inches long at least down my leg from that. Took forever to heal. But I am definitely the queen of klutz. I trip over air, which I had told my husband from the time we met that that's how klutzy I was, that I could trip over air, and he literally thought I was pulling his leg until he saw me do it. And he looked at me, he's like, "You weren't kidding, were you?" I'm like, "No, I'm not kidding at all." So, I mean, yeah, these things have hurt me, and they've left their scars, but yeah, at least I can laugh about it all now, because I wouldn't wish for it to happen to anybody else. But it just, it's so typically me to have those kind of things happen. So, just, I hope y'all get a laugh out of this, as much as I do. And, I hope y'all have a good day, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.